Joyce versus Joseph Parker. Let's talk about it. So this is a heavyweight bout that happened on the 24th of September. I didn't watch this live, but I did go back to watch a recap round after round, and this is my breakdown of what I saw in that fight and basically who came out victorious and why. I did a video about Joyce a while ago, the Juggernaut. He's actually one of my favorite heavyweight boxers because of he's kind of like low key and he has a good set of skills, great heart, and his chin is like fucking granite. Joseph Parker, on the other hand, is also a very skilled fighter. I like his speed and his boxing IQ. He's kind of like a boxer. He is someone that when you see him fight, you know he's been fighting since he was like 6 years old. Joyce did start boxing later in his years. He was a rugby player, I believe, and he played soccer. Joyce is from the UK. It does have Nigerian heritage. Just giving you guys some background. Um, so yeah, the two styles. In summary, I think Joyce is more like a George Foreman type of boxer, and um, Joseph Parker is kind of like a Joe Frazier type of boxer. Do you get what I mean? Anyways, so let's jump into the fight. All right, wait, hold on. Before we do, if you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Comment below. Let's grow this channel. I'm a boxing fan, not a boxing fanatic. And if you're a boxing fan like me, let's do this. So, round one, two fighters come out, guns blazing, and I believe both fighters know kind of what the other one is bringing to the table. Joseph Parker knows that Joyce starts slow and he builds up momentum as the rounds go. So I think Joseph Parker's strategy was to start fast and get as many points in the earlier rounds, uh, and then hope that he can knock Joyce out before the later rounds. While Joyce, on the other hand, is coming out with the idea that Joseph Parker would put on, um, a mastery of boxing and come with the front foot and try to, I guess, dominate the center of the ring. But that's kind of what didn't happen. Let me say that didn't happen. What happened in the first round was Joyce started pressing early, which is unusual, and he started putting in a lot of pressure on Joseph Parker, which I think got Joseph Parker a little bewildered. Round one went to Joyce. It wasn't very clear cut, but I gave it to Joyce. Round two, Joseph Parker tried to turn the tide a little bit, but Joyce kept peppering him with the jab. Joyce kept pushing, kept pressing. And Joyce he is kind of big, even though they're almost about the same height. But for some reason, Joyce knows how to cut the ring off. Joseph Parker is very quick with his feet, so he knows how to move around the ring very well. He bounces and he's smooth. He glides around the ring, but Joyce kind of steps into every jab and he steps into every movement to cut Joseph Parker off. So this is what I observed in the second round, and I gave that second round to Joyce as well. Third round, I think Joseph Parker even came out harder to try to turn the tides because I think he felt he's lost the first two rounds, which he should be winning. Already, Joseph Parker is already showing signs of bruising in his left eye just after the two rounds. Joyce, on the other hand, doesn't look like he's gotten a scratch on his face. Joseph Parker comes in very hot at the first phase of round three, and then kind of mellows down and then comes back again in the middle and then mellows down and comes back in again at the end. So he was kind of fighting in bursts, I think, to conserve energy and also to make the judges see that he is active. He comes with these very fast flurries and his hands are fast for a heavyweight. I'd say he is kind of like the Andy Ruiz type hand speed. And mind you, he did fight Andy Ruiz and he beat Andy Ruiz. Joseph Parker has only lost to two people, if I'm not mistaken. That's Anthony Joshua and Dillian White. So third round goes, I think, in the favor of Joseph Parker, but it's close. I want to give it to Joseph Parker, but it's close. fourth, fifth, sixth round, um, Joe Joyce presses the action, and he's not giving Joseph Parker any breathing room. He goes to the body, changes levels, goes to the head, and then he starts throwing these really, really wide hooks that typically a heavyweight boxer, if they do, they would pay for it because they either get too fatigued or they would leave themselves vulnerable. But Joseph Parker, I think, boxing IQ, he kind of knew that it's like almost like a trick or a ploy to get him to come close and commit, which he didn't do. So he kept boxing in circles, but the pressure of Joe Joyce is just, it's crazy. They call him the juggernaut. His endurance is unmatched. So they go through four, five, six, and I give two of the four and five to Joe Joyce, and then six to Joseph Parker. Round seven comes in, and Joe Joyce just presses from the get-go. I mean, I was surprised, and he really pushed Joseph Parker. I think to almost burn him out, he just kept going to the body, going up top, cutting the ring off, and I was like, okay, maybe he wants to knock him out. But then Joseph Parker has this kind of tactics where he looks like he is completely fatigued. He's actually bending down, his hands are down, and then he just jumps on you with like a rapid combination, 2-3 combination, and then bounces back out. Again, I think he was doing this to try to get the judges to score in his favor. And it is a good tactic, but the pressure that Joe Joyce was pushing is just too much. And Joe Joyce is a very awkward fighter because he looks like he's not doing much. He looks very slow. He looks like his jabs are slow. Again, he's like a George Foreman type guy, very slow hands, but they're so accurate. It's unbelievable. You kind of wonder, why is he getting to the target if his hands are that slow? Like Anthony Joshua's hands are slow, but he's not as accurate as Joe Joyce. Anthony Joshua has faster footwork. Joe Joyce has slower footwork, but is still able to cut the ring off. It's mind blowing. Anthony Joshua is bigger than Joe Joyce, but Joe Joyce seems bigger in the ring. I don't know what the hell. It's like crazy science. But again, Joe Joyce was able to sort of dominate round seven and eight in that same fashion, with just pressuring and pressuring. And then round nine, uh, Joseph Parker comes in with a flurry. He was able to rattle Joe Joyce a little bit, but Joe Joyce hits him with a very, very, like, very, very hard, I think it was a right that cut him in his left eye. Oh, no, it cut Joseph Parker in his right eye. So now Joseph Parker is really bleeding, even though Joseph Parker was kind of winning that round. So Joseph Parker won round nine, but he came out with a big cut. Round 10, kind of the same thing happens. Joseph Parker comes with the flurries. But Joe Joyce is just consistent, working the body, pushing the effort, pushing the pace. And you can clearly see at this point that it is taking a toll on Joseph Parker. And Joseph Parker is just at this point working with just pure heart. Round 10 finishes, and Joseph Parker already looks like he's broken down completely. Joe Joyce, on the other hand, doesn't have a scratch on his face. And it's ridiculous because Joseph Parker was hitting this guy with some nice bombs at the start of the fight, and the midway to the fight, and all the way to the ninth and tenth round. But his chin is like granite. It's like he doesn't even move when the punches connect flush with his chin. And I think that sort of disoriented Joseph Parker because he's like, I'm punching this guy and he just keeps walking towards me. So round 11 comes and Joe Joyce just jumps on Joseph Parker. He doesn't even give him any space whatsoever. A couple jabs to the body, and then tries to connect with the overhand. He misses, and they get into a clench. Joe Joyce puts his body on him. The referee separates both of them, and before you know it, just like that, a left hook, boom, and it was over. Joe Joyce knocks Joseph Parker out in the 11th round. Mind you, this is something that has never been done. No fighter has knocked Joseph Parker out. You could say Joseph Parker is getting older now, so he's not as youthful and strong and whatever as he once was, but this is a former heavyweight champion, and this is no easy feat. And Joe Joyce did that. So kudos to Joe Joyce. I'm really rooting for this guy. I hope he gets a shot with the big weights. I hope he fights Tyson Fury. I think if he fights Anthony Joshua, he will beat Joshua because Joshua will burn out. I think if he fights um, Alexander Usyk, it will be a boring fight because Usyk is a boring fighter. Again, go watch my video. I think Alexander Usyk is bad for heavyweight boxing. No charisma, no nothing whatsoever. Runs around the ring, doesn't have power. It's just going to be a boring fight. And I think Alexander Usyk would probably beat Joe Joyce because he runs around the ring and he's a boring fighter. But if they engage, which I know Usyk would never do, Joe Joyce would ultimately come out victorious. I think if any heavyweight fighter engages with Joe Joyce round for round, they would lose because Joe Joyce tank is not human. Maybe Tyson Fury could beat him if they go round for round. I mean, if it is just non-stop brawling, maybe Tyson Fury. But other than that, no one. So anyway, guys, that's my recap of the fight. If you like this channel, like I said, hit that subscribe button. I'm a boxing fan, not a boxing fanatic. You already know what it is. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.